Dr. Kassie DeWitt. I'm a doctor of occupational therapy. I'm a pelvic floor therapist. I became a pelvic floor therapist due to my own pelvic floor dysfunction at the age of 16. Diagnosed with a bladder and rectal prolapse by the age of 19, full bladder emptying, urgency, frequency, pain, constipation, pain with intercourse, back pain, hip pain, you name it, I had it. Now I've helped thousands of women stop leaking urine without medication or surgery. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and I'm going to teach you all the things. So let's get started and talk today about Kegels. So often women are told, just do more Kegels, do more Kegels, do more Kegels. When research indicates that 50 to 60%, even higher for me in my clinical practice, women don't know how to do Kegels. So they think they're doing the right exercise because they're doing what they're told, but they've never been instructed on how to do a Kegel and how to use a Kegel functionally. Then on the other side of research, we're also seeing that there are much better exercises out there than Kegels for our pelvic floor to improve strength. But there's another layer to that, right? We have so many layers. Another layer to that is we know that we can have really strong pelvic floors and still leak urine. We know that we could be doing all the right exercises, but exercising is only one component of not leaking urine. So with my women and what I go through in my course and my membership, which I'll have all the links to that below, is how to take a more holistic approach. And though I'm never going to knock Kegels because we want to know how to use the pelvic floor in a Kegel contraction throughout our functional performance in the day, meaning when you pick your baby up, when you get off the toilet, when you get off the couch, when you're doing dishes, when you're doing laundry, when you're unloading groceries. Let's use the 3 layers of muscles down there to help support us in those functional exercises, right? So Kegels, I see when I was in clinical practice, now I practice online. Women would be doing, they would come in and say, you know what? I've been doing Kegels for 30 years, 40 years, and I still leak urine. My care team told me that the only option I had was surgery or medication. So the first thing I do is teach them anatomical structures, right? So we know what we're talking about. And then I assess a Kegel and their Kegel. And oftentimes women weren't getting, so a Kegel is a contraction of the whole pelvic floor. So think about your vagina squeezing like it's picking up a blueberry, and then it needs to lift that blueberry up. So often women are squeezing, but they're not doing the lift part. And as soon as they start doing the lift part, we start getting really wonky in our body. Our glutes are coming on, our neck's coming on, our biceps are crunching. And so, or the opposite is happening. They're trying to pick the blueberry up and they're actually pushing it down because they're holding their breath so tight. They're causing so much intra-abdominal pressure. So when you do a Kegel, we're going to take a big inhalation, filling belly with air. And then when you exhale, you're going to squeeze pelvic floor, right? You're going to contract or squeeze pelvic floor and you're going to lift that blueberry up. And you can even turn your lower abdominal muscles on with a shh, right? So that's a Kegel. And when you hold a Kegel for longer periods of time, that's where we get the big bang for our buck, right? That's where we start gaining a little strength. But we're only doing those, say, when I was taught, a lot of times it was like, do 3 sets of 10, 3 times a day. And I noticed my women weren't getting any better. And I was like, their strength is fine. So what is going on? We need to add in glute exercises, clams, bridges, one single leg stance exercises like step ups to help with improving pelvic floor function. But outside of that, we need to do a few other things that we're going to go over quickly here. We need to work on our breath mechanics. So inhale, exhale, no Kegling, just inhale, exhale. I'm not chest breathing, I'm diaphragmatic breathing. So when you do that, you're building coordination between your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. So it's kind of moving like a piston in the car, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. And when you do this, when you work on those breath mechanics, then with sudden movements or exercise, your pelvic floor is really coordinated, right? So if you think about a baby deer walking for the first time and how uncoordinated they look, or say if you had to go out and play a sport you've never played before, how uncoordinated we would look. That's what we're trying to build with the pelvic floor. And if you think about the pelvic floor as just one part of your core system, so the top is the diaphragm, the bottom is your pelvic floor. It's kind of like a pop can. The front is your abdominal muscles, and the back is your spinal muscles. All of those need to be really nicely coordinated so we can build strength. So breath mechanics is one. We don't hold our breath, we don't strain, we always make sure there's a way for air to escape. Second, we have to look at our bladder habits. So if you're leaking urine, or if you have urgency or frequency or nighttime wakings, and we put all our eggs into the exercise basket, you're going to get really frustrated really fast. You're not going to see an improvement fast enough. You're not going to see a big enough improvement long term because compliance with Kegels is like 50%. So women will start doing it, they'll get really gung-ho about it. And a month later, 50% of those women have dropped off. And each month that number gets lower and lower. So, bladder habits. How often are you going? Are you rushing to the bathroom? Do you pee just in case? So, my 3 top bladder habits to not do. We're not peeing just in case. It's a hard one. There's a whole other video on that. We're not pushing our urine out. This is often a habit where you learn to get urine out faster, which it doesn't, or empty more completely, which there's a whole video on that too. And then third, there's so many habits I want us to kind of tweak a little bit, just small little changes. I don't want you hovering. I don't want you rushing to the toilet. I want you to become the big boss of your bladder, right? So if I can name any habit to stop today, and it's a hard one, I'm not going to make it easy on you girls, is stop peeing just in case. This means, oh, I'm running to Target. I better go potty just in case. Oh, I've got to go here. I better go just in case. Oh, I just went 10 minutes ago, but I better go again just in case. I'm also a mom to 4, and I get it. So a habit is something we do daily. And when we're doing it daily, that's when it really overworks our bladder. So we want to be really cognizant of the only time we're peeing just in case is right after sex, right before bed, and if we have a car ride longer than an hour and a half. Okay. So with my 4 babies, I try very hard to say, hey, listen to your bladders. We're getting ready to go. Sometimes I'm like, you better go just in case, but it's not a habit I do every day. Okay, so we have our habits, we have our exercise, and then let's talk about nutrition and hydration. The way we hydrate our bladders, super important. So we can use minerals and water. Anything else to hydrate, we're not going to call hydration. So caffeine, carbonation, and alcohol are 3 of the biggest bladder irritants we want to remove from our system. Yeah, I know, tough, but not as tough as buying pads every day and leaking urine. It really isn't. And you can introduce them later. So look at the foods and beverages that irritate your bladder. This means being really aware of when I drink or eat something, I'm in the bathroom 10 minutes later. I want you to connect those dots. Okay. So my husband and I were talking about this. We went out to breakfast and we were seeing people eat like a lot of whipped cream and chocolate sauce on their pancakes. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I ate like that, I would have diarrhea and I wouldn't make it to the bathroom. And my husband said, oh my gosh, that's what I used to do all the time before basketball practice in high school. Is I'd go to Burger King, I'd get these hotcakes or McDonald's or wherever. And then I would be like rushing to the bathroom. He's like, I never put 2 and 2 together until you. And I was like, oh, wow. Yes. So pay attention to the foods you eat and what you eat or what you drink, and see how your bladder responds to them. Okay, I hope you found this video so helpful. If you did, make sure you hit subscribe there. Follow along for any pelvic floor tips and tricks. Know that in the notes of this video is my links to my Urine Good Company course. It's an online course, self-paced, teaches women how to stop leaking urine. I also have a membership that helps teach women how to stop leaking urine too. All of that's there, along with all my social media. If you have any specific questions, send me a message on Instagram. I would love to chat through on a video or in the DM. So thank you again. Talk to you soon. Bye.